And welcome everybody to the Fandom Zone. It is I, General Zod, and I'm here for another great, enlightening, insightful, awesome talk. Um, I have a special guest today. So most people probably don't know about Zod is I'm big into gaming. I haven't had a chance to really highlight anybody who makes games, but due to requests I've had from a couple of people, I decided to bring on someone who's doing some great stuff and actually does videos about one of my currently favorite games that I play on my mobile device. So go ahead, good sir, introduce yourself to the fine folks watching.
Hey everybody. Oh, can you hear me? Did I hit the button wrong? There we go. Oh. Can you hear me? Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Excellent. Sorry about that. It was not working. Hey, everybody. My name is Chad. I am the owner, essentially, of dragonlawgaming, a YouTube channel devoted to basically covering Dragon Champions. It is a mobile game that you can play. It's turn-based, but that's not my only focus. But that's where I focus now. All of my energy is on this mobile title, Dragon Champions. It's a great game, turn-based RPG role-playing type game, very similar to Star Wars Galaxy Heroes or Marvel Strike Force, if you've heard of those games before. Absolutely great. And that's what we're here to talk about today. And then gaming kind of as a whole, I would assume.
Yes. Speaking of which, Marvel Strike Force is my next one. I've been playing that game for about a year or so, and I've dropped like $200 there at least over the span of my time, because that one I play at a big competitive level. But speaking of which, I have spent a little bit of money in this game, and I do stress the little bit of money, so it's good to we're going to cover all of that stuff and dive deep into this, because I've been playing a lot of different mobile games. I also played the Xbox, PlayStation 4, all of that stuff. And I found this is probably the first game that I ran across that is so price wise and user wise definitely geared towards players. Like, the price point on some of these things is just astronomical. like, when I first started playing, I'm like, $5 for what? Like, if I took that in comparison to other games I've played, I spent like $50 on a character pack for like Marvel. If a new character comes out, I'd easily drop like 50 on, like, say, Ghost Rider or something that came out. And then I looked here, and they were $5, and you get all these shards and the stuff to upgrade them and the gear. And I'm like, this is, how are they making money? Like, so I
Well,
was
I don't.
baffled.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying. When I came from playing Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, I played that game for 3 straight years. In fact, I played that game and this game for about 2 weeks together, and never felt that anytime I made a purchase in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes that I just felt I was getting screwed every single time. It didn't matter what I bought, really. It was like, oh, buy this, no value. Oh, you got to buy more, and you got to buy more, and you got to buy more. I have wailed out pretty hard in this game. I will not lie to anybody who watches my streams, comes to my videos. I make it pretty clear to them that I've spent money in this game. I've spent thousands, probably.
Oh,
That's about probably 1600 in this game. And I feel like that I've gotten value out of it. And the reason for that is just this. I feel like when I go in and I purchase something, I'm getting something in return for the game. I have done that. And I did that knowing I had the money, knowing I could spend the money. And I don't begrudge anybody who ever spends money on a game if you're getting value for it and you want to and you're not hurting anybody in the process. Like my family's not going broke, or we're not eating out of a can or not living out of a box because I spent the money. And so if you can do it, great. If you can't, this is still a game for you, because you're absolutely right. You can spend no money and feel like you're getting somewhere and making progress and competing and having a good time. And then you can spend a little money and get a lot of value. And what I mean by that is like $1.99 for 600 energy and tickets is a pretty standard offer that happens. And no, if anybody's wondering, I'm not being paid to be here. I'm not. I just love this game. But $1.99 for 600 energy, 600 experience. There's a lot you can do with that, especially at low levels. It's $2. You're right. I mean, you can spend $5 to get a character, and then the characters are good at lower star levels, where in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes or Marvel Strike Force. No, I've never played Marvel Strike Force, so I should make sure that's very clear. So my comparison comes from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, but in that game, a 3-star character or 4-star character is just not any good. And in the present view of the game, right, where I was at, I have geared 12 characters and 7 stars, and they were no good against these relic 7s that were going on. And you had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to get relic 7 guys, and it didn't make any sense. And I never spent that kind of money in that game. I spent a few $100 in that and always felt like I was getting nothing, so I didn't do it. This game, I've received a lot of value for it, and that's why I've done it. Unlock packs for being able to bump people. When I first started playing the game, you could literally unlock somebody at star 5 and then level them immediately to 6 when you buy their pack. They've changed that, and I understand why they've done that. But now you get, essentially, if you get offered a pack, you can raise them to gear level 8, and then you can raise them to the next star level up to star 5, right? Which a lot of the characters are very viable at star 5. And so that's huge. It's certainly an amazing ability to be able to feel like you get something for the money that you put in. And when you don't put any money in, you still get something. So,
which is astonishing to me, because I did a late night talks on, we talked about the gaming industry and microtransactions and the stuff going on the console side of things. And it baffled my mind when I first got into this game, because I actually listened to Valley Flying. He had started a new channel because of this game called Valley Flying 76.
Oh, yep.
And
I'm subscribed. I love Valley Flying's videos. He's great.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. He's very funny. And so I'm listening to him, and I'm like, "What's this Dragon Champion?" So I happened to enter it into the YouTube search, and your channel came up, and I'm like, I like the icon. Like, your icon grabbed me. So I was like,
"Oh, well, thank you.
Let me go check out a video."
So
and then I watched them all.
I have to do a shout out since you said that, because my buddy, he's also a fellow YouTuber. He did Division content. A pause screen, or Mountie Carl actually designed this for me and gave it to me as a, hey, you know what? You're doing some YouTube content. You're doing stuff. I'm going to design you a logo. And he did. And so I have to thank him for that. And so, hats off to him for designing the logo. I love it. I think it's great. So thank you for saying that.
And I just wanted to quickly highlight the chat. We got Tommy. We got Wookiee Supremacy. Welcome, guys. And, I've been retweeting it out. So we'll have people popping it out. But I always wind up getting the after views anyways, because streaming on a Saturday is tricky. It seems like a ton of people stream, and people are jumping in and out of streams. So
I'm not worried. We're having a good time. We're having a good time at all.
What's up, Terrence? Oh, sorry. Terrence is in the chat.
No,
What's up?
Okay. What's up, man?
So, but I wanted to, so when I saw your channel and I saw you had, you have a pretty good amount of subscribers, especially in your field. Like, gaming is tough. Like, when I first started YouTubing, I played with the idea of maybe piggybacking or Strike Force or something like that. And one, I don't have that much ambition to film it and then do like commentary. And two, I guess I serve better talking about news and whatnot. So I stuck in the, reviews and talking about things. But I did always want to kind of bring in gaming into my channel because I cover all forms of entertainment. And so I saw you, and if you wouldn't mind giving the fine folks out there some background, how did you get started with your channel? And
So
yeah,
go
when
ahead.
did you discover the game?
So for me, it was very similar to you discovering the game. I was playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes in my own time. I was actually I've only started doing YouTube since about April of this year. I am a full-time practicing attorney. I am a criminal defense attorney for a county that's about 2 hours away from me. So I actually drive 2 hours to and from every day for work. And am a public defense attorney. And so, but before then, I was working for this family law firm here in town. And when I stepped away from that job, I was like, well, I got to find another job. And the legal field is not, at least in my area, there's not a lot of jobs available. So I kind of sat around and practiced law myself and did some side things like YouTube and Twitch and that sort of thing. And I was covering Call of Duty Black Ops 4. That was the game I kind of sort of like what you said. I was trying to piggyback a little bit on that game, and I enjoyed it. I ended up getting a little bit of a following on Twitch, enough to become an affiliate over there, but not much on YouTube. Like I was editing the videos and posting them up. Recently, I took all the video. I made all those videos private, pulled all the videos down. All the growth that I've had has happened in the last 50 days.
Oh, wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yes. And so from April until I started my job in August, I was just playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and then, streaming every day on a regular schedule. Did okay. I mean, not bad. Never made any money, and which was never really the point anyway, to be perfectly honest. But it was something that I decided, hey, why not? Why not try it? I get a new job in August, and then I'm still playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm watching some of my favorites. So you probably know these names if you're doing Strike Force. So Mobile Gamer does cover Strike Force. Arnold T101 also does Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, a little bit of Marvel Strike Force, and then Mick Mull too, who is probably our biggest streamer or YouTuber for Dragon Champions. And I'm watching them, and I watched Mick Mull's video about why he was quitting it, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And he said he was moving over to a game called Dragon Champions. And I watched a video on that. I said, that looks kind of cool. And then I was watching Mobile Gamer, and he mentioned it, and I went, all right, why not? I'm frustrated with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm frustrated with the fact that they don't give me any value. There's no new content. There's just nothing going on that's making me excited about the game. And then I actually set aside some money to spend on the game so I could get. And if you come from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes or know anything about this, they had an event, a Malak event that came around for the third time. And I'm not a whale in that game. Never was. Not really a whale in this game either. I had some money, so I put some aside and spent it. But in this particular case, I spent $100 to get the gear that I needed to unlock Malak. Well, to be able to gear the characters up enough to be able to attempt to unlock Malak. So I spent the money. The Malak event comes around, and then it crashes. It gives a bunch of free shards to people. They pull it, and then it doesn't go anywhere. I'm pissed. Like, I'm so mad because I went and spent $100 on a game that I already feel like crap when I spend money in it anyway to get these characters, and then they just cancel the event. Then they bring the event back around, and then they cancel it again. And I'm just like, after I've already heard about Dragon Champions a little bit. And at this point I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm looking for another game. And so I clicked on the link that they did a Dragon Champions video. I think it was Mobile Gamer, to be honest. I clicked on his link, downloaded it, started playing it. Within 15, 20 minutes, I was hooked. I just thought it was great. And then, like you said, the microtransactions popped up, and I was like, $1.99 for a character that's going to be good, right? Okay, sure, no problem. And then I think and then they had a double, they had this double dragon coins, which is the crystals in the game, where for $110 you get double the amount of crystals. And then they did that twice, and I did that twice. And then they had these packs, and so it was always, for me, it was always felt like I was getting a lot of value from the game. So I've been playing the game for 50 days, and I've got a level 76 character. I have a pretty good roster. I compete in almost all the tournaments. I'm in the top 10 to 15 players on my server in the arena, which is the PvP aspect of the game. I do well in the tournaments, and I'm able to make these videos and have these opportunities, to come on a channel like yours and talk about the game and that sort of stuff. And I'm really enjoying it. It's a great hobby, and it gives me something to do when I have time to do it. And so I think that's just really, really fun. But that's kind of how I got into it. And so to answer your question, to fully answer your question, up until 50 days ago, I had 29 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, I've had those numbers.
Yeah, 29 subscribers on YouTube. I was averaging maybe 3 views or 4 views a video. And the people who were really good at Call of Duty and that sort of stuff, the Spiroses, the Bobby Pops, those guys, right? They're of course pulling 30, 40, 50,000 viewers per video type of thing, right? And it just wasn't working. And that was okay. I was like, all right, well, I've got this job, and it's not that big a deal. This game came out, and I was like, look, this is something I can do. I can do videos on this because I love this game and that sort of stuff. So I was like, why not? Let's try it. Let's see what we can do. And it's overwhelming and humbling and amazing at times, because I went from having no viewers to having, I think I'm sitting at, I don't even really know. I haven't even looked, to be perfectly honest. I think it's more than I've ever had for subscribers, and it's super fun. It makes me want to make a video every day when I don't really have time to make a video every day, but I do it anyway. I tell people that all the time. I was like, 246 subscribers in the last 28 days. It says I have 202 new subscribers. I mean, that's just crazy to me. That's nuts. And it all has to do with a little bit of timing, a little bit of luck, timing of a new game, and and some hard work on my end. And then, of course, people like you. I mean, from what I understand, you're subscribed to me and you watch my videos, and they help you out. And that's awesome. That just makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing and a good thing for our community.
Which was just awesome, because I was like, when I first saw your channel, I'm like, wow, let me reach out to this guy and see if I can get him on my channel, because it actually came when I did my interview with Candace, and I had a lot of feedback from different people coming onto my channel saying, we enjoyed your interview. You should do more with the gamers, because the Geeks and Gaming, and you used to do that, but they've gotten more into the media aspect, which is why I follow them. But I was like, yeah, I like games. It's a part of the umbrella of stuff that I would like to cover, or that I wind up talking about. Like, I do mention some games on my late night talks and things coming out. But I haven't really had anyone in that world come to my channel. I was like checking out your channel. I'm like, yeah, I've actually gotten ideas from this channel. So, I mean, anyone who might be interested in playing this game, or who needs a good source, it makes sense to have someone on who has that knowledge. And by the way, for anyone who's joining us, we're later on in the show going to talk about some different things you can do. Mr. Dragon Law here will bestow upon you some wisdom on how to get your characters up and things like that. So I look forward to to the talk. And with this, I don't have a lot of time to do console gaming anymore. So I do my phone a lot. So that's why I wanted to kind of do a mobile game on my thing, because console gaming takes so much time. And I'm like, me, myself, I'm in between my school and I also work at a movie theater too. So it's double duty.
Yeah.
So on my downtime, I'm doing the Dragon Champions. And now with my account, I had to put in double duty and just got my orgs back up
No,
to
it's
where
good.
they were. But yeah, so I've been working on that. But yeah, we're gonna dive into that. But I wanted to get a little bit of backstory and find out how you did it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, and one of the other things that I love about this game, and I think that when you talk about this game as opposed to say Marvel Strike Force or some of these big IPs, is this that you had mentioned, how do they make money? Well, my understanding is that there's 11 of them. There's 11 of these guys or gals working on this game. They're an independent studio. This is their baby. And they're in Discord, right? All the time. They have their own official Discord channel. They're there. You can talk to them. I've sent them messages. In fact, how I even got involved was I was doing these YouTube videos and I reached out to one of the developers and I said, "Hey, I'm doing these YouTube videos and I love your guys' game. Is there any way I can get more involved in the community?" And the developer I talked to said, "You need to talk to this guy." And I was like, all right. And so I sent him a message and I didn't think anything really was going to come of it or anything like that. But he sent me a message back and he says, "We're glad you love our game. Send me one of your videos and I'll look at it. And if we like it, we'll put you as a content creator on here and give you some special access. And that sort of thing to our Discord, which will allow you to, get your videos out to more people." And I was like, great. Well, I sent him a video. He was like, "This is good. I like it." And they immediately gave me a creator tag, a content creator tag, allowed me to post the videos on their Discord channel. And that's where my growths really come from. 50% of my viewers come from Discord. It's been crazy like that. They show up, they're in Discord, there's people playing the game, and they watch the videos from Discord. And this comes from just reaching out to them and them being accessible, and I just love that about them.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing, and why I wanted to cover particularly this game and someone connected in this community was because I have not come across the game since this whole craze with the mobile field has started and with the transactions and things like that. I haven't come across the game that's as friendly to the players as this one seems to be. I mean, I haven't had any complaints. I think my account getting erased is one of those weird things that happens. But I mean, other than that, I've had no hiccups, no problems, nothing I've seen where I'm like, oh man, this is a ripoff. And I am a player of Marvel Strike Force, and I can tell you there have been some rough patches. For the most part, though, the devs over there have worked out a lot of things, but it doesn't mean that the pricing has changed. They're still horrid deals,
Right.
but they've made it a little bit more easier for newer players to get up there. But still, if you've been in the game for as long as me or like, a Valley Flying or one of those have been in, then you're not catching up to us unless you spend money. It's just one of those things where you can't. Whereas this one, you can jump in there and, grind out for a good week or two, right? If you know how to manage everything.
Right.
And if you're saving up your resources, and you could easily, like, within a month, be right up there as competitive as the guy who's been there for a year, which I think it gives more incentive to the players. And then, you got the deal for the people probably like you, the level 70s who are, like on top of Mount Olympus. You guys still got your.
I'm getting creamed. I'm getting creamed. I at level 76, you know, I am, you know, so just so you're aware. So I'm on my server, on my shard, I am the rank 22nd. I have a total power of 468,639. So I'm ranked 22nd out of everybody on my server, in total power. And so that's not too bad. But I'm getting whomped by the guys in front of me, the level 80s, but you know, guys, even guys in my guild, and that sort of stuff. And so, I mean, yeah, I've slowed down. And the truth is that I saw this as an opportunity to get on the ground floor in a game. I've seen it as an opportunity to help people. And I've seen it as an opportunity to be able to meet new people and have new communities. And so it's been really, really just an overall great experience. And then, like I said, I woke up this morning to see your message. I would have never, it's, as I think I told you when we were talking, it's flattering to me. You know, I spend my day trying to help people who are in legal trouble. And then I try to spend my nights with my family and try to help people save money on this game, but also if they just want to spend money, they can, and how to manage their resources, or who's the best characters, where should you focus, and that sort of stuff. And that's really what it's all about, is trying to help people out, trying to help the community out, because that's the way it should be. It should be about helping people out. And if people want to whale out and, and have the best stuff, then good on them. No problem. But if you want to play this game and you want to spend some money here and there, well, you need to know how to spend your money effectively. And if you don't want to spend any money, well, how can you get to where you want to go the best way possible? And that's kind of where I try to, that's what I try to do with my videos, is say, hey, don't do the things I did, because I made a ton of mistakes when I started playing. And so I have videos like that. I have videos where it's like, these characters are amazing, and these are the reasons why they're amazing, and these are the characters you should be going for. And then there are videos where, it's just like, these are some great deals. Here's what I'm currently doing. Here's what my roster looks like. And then as of today, and this is kind of something that I think the community knows this because we've been making videos about them. But as of today or yesterday, the game changers and content creators that were chosen by the developers have test accounts. And these test accounts essentially give us access to the game, give us basically unlimited resources, but we're not competing against anybody. We're on a private server where we can go in and actually look at all the characters, gear them all up without having to spend any money or anything like that, and really be able to tell the community, look, these synergies work well. These characters work well together. And so all the game changers and alike are all the content creators that were chosen for that program, and I being one of them, have been spending most of the last 24 hours going crazy inside this thing, because we've had to level the characters, grind the gear, but we have access to it, but we have to put it on, grind it up, put everything on there so we can start making these videos. And so it's a really exciting time for the game, because content's going to start just flowing from content creators like myself, because we have now access to so much information, and we can get it out to the community. That's what I've been doing all day long, is developing this and getting it taken care of. So it's a really exciting time.
Yeah. And you said the big word there, community. Another thing that stuck out to me that I actually wanted to get involved in was how the community is. I like that because part of being in this community and I'm part of the Fandom collective. I guess I would fall in the Fandom Menace kind of category, because I run with that crew. Is that it's about all of us, even though we have differing opinions, bringing a different perspective. Now, if you put that into like what you do, you can have I believe strongly you can have several different creators covering the same thing, but you're going to get a different perspective from every single creator. And I think that that's cool that you guys got test servers, because it's going to be interesting considering the people that I follow in the gaming end of it, to see what angles you guys all come from. Because there's going to be conflicting, who thinks what is good, especially when you can actually play with all of the characters. Because right now you can only get a good sense based upon what you have in front of you and who you're able to get. But when you're able to get everyone and then just try different combinations, that creates a whole new, that could bring up some different groups and things you never thought of, because you didn't have the people to really mix and match to make it work. So I think it's going to be exciting to see what you guys all come up with and who you throw out there. Plus, I noticed there were a couple of new characters too that were coming to the game. Some ones I hadn't seen before.
So yeah, it looks like we have. So there was a good bit of discussion in the Discord yesterday about whether we could show these clips or not, because they were the loading screens have new characters that have not been necessarily announced yet on the loading screens. And the developers actually, it was so funny because we asked, can we show these screens? And they said no. And then within, I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, I'm not exactly sure the time frame, but within the same time period, like within a short period of time, they had met and decided, yes, you can. That's the sort of thing that just draws me to this game and to this development team. There are things that we can't show. And I've made that pretty clear to my viewers. Like we can't show the store, what's going on in the store. We can't show that. But we can show these screens. And yes, there's 3 new characters coming to the game. Do I know anything about them? No, I really don't. They're not in the game. They're not available yet. But they're coming, and that's super cool. There's new content coming out all the time for this game. And it's the game's only been around since August. My understanding is that it globally launched in August sometime. I didn't start playing it until October. And so, like I said, I've been playing it it'll be 50 days tomorrow. And I feel like it's, I'm ingrained in this community. The community is awesome. They're really helpful. They help out a ton. It's just amazing. I'm just super blessed by the whole thing. And people, commenting on the videos and asking questions and coming to the live streams when I have them. It's a little hard to live stream this game, to be perfectly honest, because it's not a game that there's not an element to the game that's really live streamable. It's not like I'm playing PvP, or if we have, in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, they have this thing called Grand Arena, which is a PvP matchup where you have to set a defense and then you have to use an offense to go up against someone else. They don't have that. They might have it someday, and that's live streamable. But with this, it's kind of more of a Q&A style, talking about what's going on when there's events. A couple days ago, there was a new event for a new legendary character called Ember, and I live streamed my attempts to get her, and people seem to really enjoy that. And it was very frustrating and a lot of luck. And I was just beating my head against the wall, and I've got a 6-star Ember, and can I get a 7-star Ember? And the answer is probably not, because I squirreled and should have been. I had plenty of notice to level up my elves, and I just didn't do what I should have done.
I gotta say something about the elves. Like, before my account met its demise, I was actually working on my elves, and I realized like maybe one of them was useful. Sharp is grossly underestimated, I feel, but like the rest of them, like, you have the basic healer, Alaria or whatever, and then Old Lore is garbage because he's like one of those off healers. I find if I can keep him alive, he's useful, but if he gets taken out, it's just like he was just like a wasted space. And then I don't like the other one who's their blocker. I forget his name, but I don't like him because even though he's a tank,
Kelrion?
he doesn't. Yeah, he
Kelrion?
he has he has no stability. Like he just dies so quickly for a tank, and I like equipped, health and armor ruins on him, and it's just nothing. It was like,
Right.
oh my god, this is the most horrible team to take into anything.
Well, it's kind of an interesting thing because I think you're right. If we're talking about elves in general, one of the things that I plan on doing is starting to do breakdowns. One of the most popular things that I've started doing lately is breaking the characters down individually and getting down into the nitty gritty of like what is their maximum speed before runes, what are their damage, who does the best, who's the fastest, who's kind of these character breakdowns. And I've done 2 of them, one on Dieselrog, which is a newer character who I believe is not that great right now. He may be later, but as of right now, he's not great. He was a new character that was released recently. And then Ember, I talked about her. She's the new legendary character that you do need the elves for. And she's fantastic. She's going to be what I call a tier 1 character. For people who may not know, I don't want to get... I don't want to get too much into the minutia, but I do want, if you're here and you're listening and this is a game that you'd like to play and you're listening to me on what I believe to be tier 1, my definition for tier 1 is the character who can stand alone by themselves, that doesn't need somebody else, somebody else to make them good. They're good all on their own. So their abilities, their kit, that sort of stuff is good on their own, and they can be plugged and played anywhere. And there's about 10 characters in the game who are just that good, and all the rest of the characters need somebody else to be good or just suck, for lack of a better word. They're just not good at all. But that doesn't mean they're not good. They're not going to be good. There are several characters in this game who are not in the game yet. And when you're talking about, I think you said old lore earlier, but just to clarify, I think you mean Singel for the elves. Singel is one of the health healers. Old lore is a goblin, who's an attacker, and but people think he's worthless too, to be perfectly honest with you, and he's not particularly good. At the moment, but they just added Dieselrog, and Dieselrog and Old Lore have synergy together, and they're going to have synergy together for the raid. And so this game, because there's multiple facets of the game, there's PvP, there's the tower, there's your PvE content for story modes, and then there's the raid. And there's going to be a lot of these characters who are just no good for PvP or to be able to fight up against other players' teams have purpose in the raid. And so, and that's one of them. Sharp is, I think you're right. And I think I've said this in a video too. Sharp is a better character than people give him credit for. And in fact, if his damage output if he were just a little faster, like he's slow. He's kind of a slow character in and of himself. And if he were a little bit faster, he might be tier 1. If you look at his kit, he doesn't really need anybody else to be good. His abilities are all on his own, and he helps people. He gives buffs to the whole group. He can hit 3 times, and he decreases armor. I mean, by my own definition, he's a tier 1 character because he doesn't need anybody else to do what he does. But he is so slow that draws back from him. And that's really his issue in a turn-based game like Dragon Champions or Marvel Strike Force or Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. When you have slow characters that do cool things, they're still slow.
And speed is so big. I remember, because you said Strike Force, I remember when I first got Juggernaut, because I formed the Brotherhood team, and that's pretty much my team. That and a Supernatural team is what I run with a Ghost Rider, Scarlet Witch, and all them. But my Brotherhood team was the first, and I remember we hadn't gotten Magneto. So Juggernaut came out, and he was an amazing character. But like you said, because it's my best point of reference, he was so slow. Well, then Magneto came, and Magneto speeds up all of the Brotherhood, everyone with the tag. So once he came and you dropped him into his team, like once I unlocked Magneto, Juggernaut's value just went way up because now I have a fast tank that basically can't be blinded. You can't, once he goes into his taunt, he can't be hurt by any status effect, basically. And so it's like one of those things. Sometimes you're missing like that key character that'll help you along. And I feel like that's what's going on with Sharp. Like, I feel like if I feel like the elves are missing something, like they're missing a leader or something, or maybe I don't have.
No, they are missing
Whatever.
a leader. There's a Thaliana, or I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce her name. In fact, funny thing, I did a whole pronunciation guide on the game because, frankly, I can't pronounce any of their names. And so the developers actually told me, like, just throw the name into Google Translate, and however it says it is exactly how we mean it to sound. And so, but Thaliana, she is a it looks like going to be a legendary unlock character that unlocks at 5 stars, and she's got a leadership ability. And her leadership ability is all allied elves receive 30% increase to their crit chance, recover 10% of their turn meter upon landing a critical hit, and have a 50% chance to restore 1 turn at a one turn of a random ability. And so that's their leader. That's who they're missing to become a faction, worthy faction. Right now, they just have Nightiel, and Nightiel's the best character in the game. She's the best character in the game. She's what I call my MVP. Things that she can do on her own are phenomenal, but her leadership's just not particularly great. And so, but they are missing a piece. They're missing a piece, but their healers are weak. Singel's not a great healer. Alaria's not a great healer. Wonder Lula, though, is an amazing character. Nightiel's an amazing character. Sharp is he's better than the rest of the team, and Kelrian's not bad. I actually, when I'm looking at him, right, he's got some, he's better than we think he is. He just has to have his gear, and he also has to have his passive ability because he has the highest magic armor damage in the game, and it also can be increased by how many elves are in his party. And so he can actually take a good bit of hits from magic damage, which means that he's good against Solius in phase 1 of the raid. And so they have their places, but are you going to be going into arena and doing really well using Kelrian as your tank? No, not at all. You're going to need Trumgar. You're going to need either, Trumgar or, little Batty. She's not being used right now, but she might be the best tank in the game, but nobody's using her because nobody's got her yet. But I'm starting to see her in my arena shard. And she's good. She's really good. And then of course, you have Ken Lee, but he was recently nerfed a little. His dodge ability was nerfed because that was broken. And so things are shifting. And so I make these videos of who I think is good. And then a week or two later, I've got to remake them or say something else. And so that's the way it goes. And Danger's in the channel. I just saw him pop up in your screen. He's one of my guys. He's a goblin lover. Let me tell you, he loves the goblins. And so,
that's why when I misspoke, I was like, oh, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, no, he loves the goblins. He really does. And I can tell you that the goblins right now as a faction, in my opinion, are not great. They're missing a piece. They don't have a healer. But they're going to get one. And she's, from what I can tell by her kit, she's going to be good. And so when there's a healer on the team, they're going to have a lot. I think this game, as of right now, the game's really well balanced. I think there are characters that just stand out, but everybody else can kind of be plugged and played, and it kind of works out. But he says he really loves Adam. God, I have my issues with Adam. Well, most people think Adam's the worst tank in the game, and I wouldn't disagree with them at all. But it's possible we're just missing it. It could be that we just don't get it, and maybe Danger's right. Maybe he's got it. Maybe he's just correct. I don't think so, but I love his passion. So I have hats off to him for that one.
Yeah, I find that, a great part about this game is that if you really like characters, you could make your character just based on how you construct them. You can make them a lot better than they normally would be. Now, if you're talking about being competitive in the meta, then it you know you're gonna need certain characters that people are running, those
Right.
tier 1 characters.
Right.
But I mean, the great part about this game is that if you like a particular group, like me personally, I'm fond of orgs. Like, even though that's like the designated team, and I've watched a lot of videos, and I love the fact that the team you first start off with, it could still be competitive. Like, oh my goodness, like for me, Tromgar's an MVP. Like, I've never played a game where someone
I may have lost you in my headset. Give me a second here. Oh, can you hear me now? There we go. I can hear you. All right. Oh, I've lost your sound. Can you hear me? All right. Yeah, I think I can't hear Zod anymore either, but I can hear myself. I turned it on real quick to see if I was there.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
I can. You were saying I should have grabbed my drink. Do you mind if I grab a drink real quick? As I finished mine and I would like to have another one, and I'd hate to take a break. I just was not prepared as much as I thought I needed to be. So give me one. All right.
But hello, everybody. Let me see who we got going on in the chat. Herp, yep, I know, Phantom Zone Tech. But hello, everybody who's watching. Good to have you here. We're just talking about Dragon Law Gaming and Dragon Champions and getting into some characters. So thank you, everybody who's tuning in, everyone who will be tuning in. If you're intrigued, you can find this game in the Google Play Store. It's a great game. So definitely give it a look.
Yes, indeed.
So I was saying, and I'm sorry, that's probably me. When I switch between my applications, sometimes my sound drops. I don't know. I'm still figuring out the tech. So I was saying that when you pair, like, I like the orgs, and I like that you get them in the beginning of the game and they're still viable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like Corcoran and I like Tromgar. I like that combo. Like, I purposely got my potency up, and I find that I do hit a stun between the two of them very frequently. So.
Oh yeah. Well, and so the Soleus event, I believe, is going to come back around here soon. Soleus is the character. Why we tell everybody, hey, you got to level your orcs, because Soleus is the best healer in the game, and he's a legendary character that you can only unlock with orcs. And so if you have Trumgar, what I actually plan on doing is to use Trumgar in his leadership, which actually gives potency, and Corcoran and Hard Orc. And Hard Orc's a character that you're not going to have as a basic player for a while. You're only going to have him if you basically wailed a little bit, because you farm him out of the shop, out of the star store, and you only get stars after you get 7-star characters, and you get 100. You get 100 shards for every 5. You get 100 stars for every 5 shards. That was a hard sentence to get out. And so I have him. He's one of the best characters in the game. He's in that top tier. So is Trumgar for that matter. And so The other orcs really aren't, to be perfectly honest with you, in my opinion. And Corcorum, Mar, Rantha, and Mortha, they're all like tier 3. Basically tier 3, tier 4. They're on the bottom rung. But as a team together, especially mid-level, mid-game, to try to get Soleus and that sort of stuff, they're great. They do a lot of really good things. They will get you to where you're trying to go, but they will not get you to the promised land, for lack of a better word or phrase, because you're going to want hard orc, and then Trumgar is going to be, you're going to want him for other things. And their healer Mortha, in comparison to other healers in the game, like Xantara and Soleus, she's just bad. She's better than Alara, sure. She's better than Sinjil, sure. But Soleus and Xantara are by far better healers. And the fact is that she's the only clan healer we got. All right. And so you kind of have to deal with her clan. So in the game, there's order and there's clan. I know some more I know you know this, but there's order and clans, like light side and dark side, bad guys, good guys. Right. And so the clan, they have one healer. Order has a bajillion healers. And so they're not all particularly good. There's only really 2 good ones, but Mortha is the only healer we have on the clan side of things. And so we're kind of stuck with her, but she's not a great healer in comparison to Xantara or Soleus. And so, but they have a healer that's coming. Her name's Renara. And eventually she'll be put into the game, and she probably will be the best healer in the game because she has a revive mechanic. She can actually bring somebody back from death. And so I can't wait for her to come. She's a Pride character, and she's the character that the Pride is missing to be a great faction. And so I can't wait for her.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've dabbled with different members. I found Pride were pretty good. Snorri is like, I've heard people say that he's a good character, but that he works with Rebel really well. But man, I've played him on his own because I unlocked him first. I just got lucky in a chest and pulled him.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even on his own, that guy's pretty good too. Like, as I like AoE attacks, but like, put him and Freeze Art and together, and I mean, Freeze Art's another good one. I mean, there's so many good characters, and here's the thing that I like to highlight about this game is that it astonishes me. Like, I've never played a game that, beginning of game, they give you like so many decent characters that will advance you. Like, when you become serious and get to that end game level, or you're a good way into the campaigns, you're going to need to switch up your teams just to get past certain stuff. But like, for beginning, like, I'm convinced I love orgs. I'm convinced I can follow them all the way through the clans missions, just because like the way that Tromgard is, him alone, he could take most of the brunt of anything that people throw. But I mean, as far as the order goes, they have so many interchangeable people that you can put on that team, and it just jumps up their value.
Yeah, that is very true.
And like, that astonishes me. Also, what I wanted to cover, RNG, I don't know how it is for everyone, but RNG on this game is like so much better than any. I would like to know the percentages that you're supposed to get for some characters, but I've just like randomly opened premium chests and things like that and gotten good stuff. Like, the RNG is not as terrible as most games that I've played.
No, the RNG is actually quite good. In fact, if you don't mind, can I drop a link in your chat? Is that something that I can do?
Hold on a second. Let me see. I gotta make
yeah, or I can DM it to you and you can put it in there. Either way, I went ahead and just DM'd it to you, so you have it. Yeah, maybe make it easier. So this is what I've just sent was the Be a Dragon Champions website. This is ran by another game changer, Mathello. It's beadc.info. He's developed this site. what I'm getting is the beginner guide, his beginner guide to the game. This site is amazing. I get a lot of my information from this site. I've talked to him. He is a great guy. I chat with him even just this morning. Him and I were chatting this morning about the test accounts and what we will plan on doing with them and that sort of stuff. And his guide is really will help. If you're a new player, read his guide. If you're a new player, come to my channel. I plan on doing a kind of a beginner guide, but it was kind of already done based off of this before. But if you follow his strategies, you're not going to go wrong. You're going to spend your stuff where you need to go, how you're going to get there. He's going to guide you through how to get there. And then when you get to my videos are going to help you, be able to maximize where you're at. And then of course, I'm very accessible. I'm more than happy to take people's questions. Hit me up on Discord, hit me up on Twitter. Drop comments on my videos. I read them all. I respond to them all. I hope I can still do that if the channel keeps growing at the pace that it's growing. It might be hard to do, but I'm going to try my best to do it. And I think you guys deserve that. But this website is where I get my information. This website is an amazing website. And so let's see.
Yeah, I just haven't figured out I'm trying to figure out how to link it from Twitter. I'll see if I can.
Oh, you probably just have to pull it up in your browser and then copy and paste it from your web browser back into YouTube. That'd be the way I'd do it. So, and especially if you're playing it, man, you should go through here and just, it'll tell you what you need to do and how you need to do it. It'll just walk you step by step through the Via Dragon Champions. Or if you want, I can drop the link in there too, if that's easier for you. Either way. But
that probably, let me see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. There we go.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. And this is the beginner guide and everything's there. I've subscribed to him. I'm a Patreon of his. I give him money every month to have special access to the site and get new things and that sort of stuff. And I'm more than happy to do it because he's a great dude and he deserves it. It takes a lot of work to put together a guide like that. And the stuff that he does. And so, go onto his site. It's free. It's just got ads, but if you want to support him, you can. And I do. And so I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand that this is a valuable resource. This is the resource that's allowed me to do what I do. And so it's you guys should have it too, and go out there and use it. So
yeah, definitely. Cause I'm going to be, as soon as we go off, I'm going to be checking out this guy myself. Actually restarting helped me kind of, cause I went through the game once and I'm like, wow, I mismanaged a lot of things. So now I'm being a little bit more cautious. Because now I know the particular people that I'm trying to upgrade and go after.
Right.
So my only thing is the first group of order people I start out with aren't the greatest for going through that order campaign. So I'm trying to get as far until I can swap them out, but I don't really want to put much resources into them.
Right. No, and that's why I won't lie to people. I will tell you straight up, if you're going to play this game and want to play it, that first purchase offer that they give for the $110, right? I do it. I flat out tell people do it. And the reason why, I know it's a lot of money to spend on a game. $110 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money for me. I mean, I know people are like, oh, you're an attorney, you make a ton of money. No, I do not. I don't. We are dual income family. We have 4 kids. I have to, the money that I've spent is because I had it saved up, right? I had the money to spend. But it's one of those things where it's $100. If you could do it, you're not going to be disappointed because it's going to give you such an advantage into the game and that sort of thing. I won't lie to you though. If you spend the $100, it's only going to lead to you spending more money in the game. I will not lie to you about that. That will happen. And I don't get any of it. I just know that happened to me, but I've enjoyed it. It's been a fabulous 50-day ride, and it's not going to stop. I don't think. I think it's just been amazing, and I continue to be able to do new things and fun things, and be able to see new things happen. And like any one of these mobile games, you can pick it up, spend an hour or so on it every day, and you don't have to, grind it. You don't have to grind it out like other games that I used to play that it used to take me hours and hours and hours and hours, like World of Warcraft or Knights of the Old Republic or the Old Republic or Division 2, games like that, Borderlands, Borderlands 3.
Oh God,
right?
Borderlands.
Right. I mean, just
so much of my life.
Right. You're spending tons of time playing it, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a waste of your time. I don't think at all. It's just, you have to invest the time. And in this game, you can invest time, but you don't have to have a 40-hour-a-week job in the game to be able to be good. Like in games like WoW and that sort of stuff, where you have to essentially spend a lot of time playing. Yep. And yeah, time is money. That's right. Time is money. It's really true. Time is money, and money is time. So thank you for your time. Right. And that's why, I've had people comment on my videos. Thank you for giving me a video that I can listen to on my way home, my way to and from work. Well, awesome. I drive 4 hours a day for work, so I get it. I get it. So
I spend a good majority of my time on the road, and I got to tell you, like, I used to have a whole bunch of games on here, and like I've whittled it down to 3 games. Oh, 4. I jump into COD because I've been a fan of that, so I jump into that every once in a while. But I don't do the free to play. I'm still hella competitive because, like, one of the best mobile transports I've seen for a game like that. But
which one? COD Mobile?
Yeah, the new one that came out.
Yeah, I haven't even tried it. Tried it.
It's a great game. Reminds me of being back on the consoles. Like I've done ridiculous in multiplayer, and I'm not really even geared up or have that much stuff. I haven't paid a dime, and I'm still able to be pretty competitive, depending on the team I get. So, I mean, but that's very team based. Like if you're on a high level team, you're going to do good. If you're all low level, then it's going to be a struggle kind of a deal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, but now I'm down to like Marvel Strike Force, Dragon Champions, and I play Age of Magic too.
I've never heard of that one, Age of Magic. I think I've seen advertisements when I pull up, BlueStacks and that sort of stuff, but I've never played it.
Oh, that's great. It's a lot like I don't want to say Dragon Champions because there hasn't been really a game like this, but it's a lot in that kind of galaxy of heroes, Dragon Champions kind of feel.
Turn-based role-playing games.
Yeah, yeah, it's an RPG, and it's very good, very good game, but a heavy grind if you're not buying anything. But it's great though because you can. It's another game where you can grind with standard characters. And that's the thing that I think that a lot of the good RPGs are going to. Even Strike Force started doing it where you have team synergies and the team makes the whole. And I think Dragon Champions is a lot like that too. It's like you could have different characters that'll work well outside of their factions, but when you put them in that faction, they add something, which brings me to bring up some of your videos. You got a lot of interesting videos. You were talking about it earlier, so I know you want people to go and check out your videos, definitely. But tell us a little bit about how you do your tier list, what you consider a top tier character versus an okay one, because you mentioned it a little bit earlier before.
I did. So I constitute a tier 2 or tier 1 characters as characters who on their own, right, don't need anyone else to make them good. They don't need a team to make them good. They provide a lot without having to need a lot. I think that's the kind of the basic way to say it. I usually put it in one kind of an easy sentence, which is A tier 1 character is a character that needs no one else. Essentially, that's the easiest way to put it. And those characters, and I'm not going to lie to you, those characters, in my opinion, are Trumgar. And let me pull them up because I've got my computer in front of me, right? I can just pull them up and I can list them off for you. It's pretty easy to do. But those characters, in my opinion, who are the best characters in the game right now: Trumgar, Solius, Nightiel, Cruel. Or Cruella, however you want to say it, but it says Cruel, Freezard, Hard Orc, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not Wonder Lula, Kara. Those are it. I'm just making sure I'm scrolling through. Oh, and Ember, the new one, Ember. Making sure that I don't miss anyone. Yes. So Trumgar, Solius, right? Trumgar, Solius, Nightiel, Cruel, Hard Orc, Freezard, and Ember, Wonder Lula. Those and Kara. Those are your top characters in the game. And when you go in and you look at them, right? I'm just going to pick Kara because Kara seems to be everybody's favorite character, and she has been for a while. You can unlock her. She's free to play, accessible. You can farm her directly out of the guild store. She's an amazing character for a lot of reasons. She's a damage dealer. All right. She's relatively quick. She's got the ability. She can ability block for 2 turns on her basic. All right. She has an AoE that hits everyone and can daze people, has a 30% chance to daze. She can make everyone on the team except for the tanks go invisible. And then she gives the tanks counter attack. And then she also gives Venomate haste, but that doesn't really matter so much. She then also gives 25% turn meter to all her allies, not just demons, not just, clan, because she's a clan tag. It's all of her allies. And then to put it all off there, Kara's when she's invisible, right? When she's under stealth or invisible, her attacks deal 30% more damage. And if Venomate's there, he receives the same buff. So I'm kind of comparing, contrasting these two characters. When I'm thinking about a tier 1 character, she gives, right? She gives to everyone. That's what she does. She's a giver, right? She's not taking from anyone. She's giving out damage. She's giving out debuffs. She's giving stealth. She's giving counterattack, and she's giving herself damage up, forever when she's invisible. Now let's look at her counterpart. Her partner in crime is Venomate. Venomate is a great character, but I list him as a level 2 character. And the reason why he's a tier 2 character is he relies on someone else to make him better. Not that he's not good. So tier 2 characters, in my mind, are characters that need to have someone else make them exceptional. And that Venomate fits that bill. Venomate on his own deals 250% damage to an enemy on his basic, 80% chance to poison the target. But here we go. If Kara is on the battlefield, there is 50% chance that she may be called to assist, right? So that makes the team better, but Kara has to be there. All right.
Yep.
Poison, same kind of thing. Poison Cloud, his second ability, 230% magic damage to all enemies. So he has the ability to hit everybody. That's great. Just like Kara. Kara has the ability to hit everybody. Can also poison for 2 turns. All right. That's awesome. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. I apologize. His next ability, what is your poison? Applies crit damage increase, counter attack, and crit chance to 1 ally for 2 turns. And restores 75% of the turn meter to that 1 ally. She gives 25% to everybody and counterattack, right? He only does it to 1 person. So that kind of lowers him down a little bit. It's more, but it's lower. But this is where he kind of drops off into the tier 2. He deals 20% more damage for each stack of poison on the enemy. That's great, but he's got to land the debuffs. He actually has to poison them and for him to get that damage. Kara just has to be invisible. And she can invis herself on turn 2. If Kara's on the battlefield, she receives the same buff. Well, what makes him good is receiving Kara's buff from being invisible, right? He does so much more damage when Kara's on the field, but when Kara's not on the field, he does less. When Kara's on the field and he's not, she still does damage. She does more damage when he's on the field. And so that's the kind of the difference, is that she gives more and takes less. And he receives more and gives less. That's why I level him out. I call him a tier 2 character. Another really good example of that is Freezard and Snorri. You had mentioned them earlier. Freezard, in my opinion, is a tier 1 character. He gives and gives and gives. Great damage, slows, 2 AoEs, one that does 3 AoEs for 3 enemies, one that deals AoEs for 5 to all the enemies, and reduces turn meter for that matter, right? And then he has his passive ability where he survives a fatal blow. Cheat death is an amazing ability in this game. I've never seen that in any other game. Maybe it's in Marvel Strike Force. It's not an ability or a mechanic in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, except for one or few people can't be destroyed or they revive or something like that. It's very different there. But he survives a fatal blow and then gains 25% of his health. And then it can be triggered once per battle, which is awesome. And if Snorri's on the battlefield, he gets the same buff, right? That's really good. That's really good. But when you look at Snorri, though, and this is what you were saying earlier, he's a good character, but my opinion, he's a tier 2 character. He becomes tier 2 because he gains magic armor and tenacity increase on his basic when he's not in Berserker stance, but you're always going to have Berserker stance on.
Yeah.
Correct. Because Berserker stance is ridiculous. For people, Snorri assumes Berserker stance and gains 50% of turn meter. He removes 3 buffs when he debuffs when he does it. And I can understand if he's debuffed heavily, you might want to flip him in and out. But the fact is that he gains 25% crit chance and 40 speed. Right? I mean, it's just huge.
Yeah.
And so he's just moving so fast. And then he's got his spin attack that he can do on turn 2. But he's ultimately very squishy. He doesn't have another AoE. He's missing an ability, and his Dragon Hunter ability why would you be flipping him in and out other than to remove debuffs, right? And so Freezard gets the same battle, but Freezard just does so much more, and Freezard's much faster. And so Snorri's a great character, but he needs Freezard to be amazing, or he needs to Revel, and Revel's the other one. And I always call Revel Lover. So in my videos, you'll always know that I call Revel Lover because Revel is just lover spelled backwards. And so I always call him Lover, and he's a beautiful character. You don't normally say this, but he's a tiger, and he's just pretty. I like the way he looks. I like big cats. I'm a dog guy, but I like big cats. I like lions and panthers and tigers, and when I go to the zoo, I always like looking at them, and so I really love the way this character looks. But he's another one of those characters where he borderlines tier 1 and tier 2. And the reason why he borderlines tier 1 and tier 2 is because he needs someone to apply bleed for him. He needs that. He only can apply bleed on his basic for 2 turns on 1 target, right? Well, Snorri can apply bleed to everyone with his AoE. So when you combine the 2 of them together, Revel becomes exceptional because of Snorri's bleed ability. By himself, he doesn't apply bleed often enough to give him more damage, right? He gets 20% more damage for each stack of bleed. By himself, he can't really do that. But if Snorri adds bleed to all 5 characters, it's 100% more damage, right? Yep. That's what makes him tier 2. And so in my mind, that's kind of how it works. I could be wrong. I always say that. I could be wrong. I was wrong. In my tier 1 video, I left out Cruel. I absolutely left her out. I said she was tier 2.
The buzz you must have got. Like, what? How
I
could
did.
you forget?
No, they were really nice about it. They understood. In fact, I explained myself in my tier 2 video why I thought she was tier 2, and people were okay with that. I was wrong. I'm more than happy to be wrong. I really am. I was wrong. She's a tier 1 character. I thought she was situational, and she is situational. However, she's meta defining. That's what makes her tier 1. And that's what I missed. I didn't have her. The moment I realized I had her, I actually leveled her up a little bit, and then I squirreled off to do something else because I kind of just I didn't think she was great. But she's meta defining. And I'm watching people in my arena shard who don't belong in the top echelon, in that upper top 25 players, because they have her, they're able to beat teams they shouldn't. And
That's crazy.
and that's what makes her meta defining. She's so good. She's so good about being able to hide other mages. Right now, the big meta, at least on my shard, is basically Soleus, Lead, Cruel, Nightiel, Freezard, and then a tank. Right now, Little Baddie is going to be coming up. I believe that she's going to be the meta tank coming up. I really do believe that. I believe that she might actually be a tier 1 character herself, but because I haven't used her enough, I don't know, but I think she might be. And then Trumgar will still be a tier 1 tank, but Little Baddie might be as well. But because she's kind of behind a wall, you have to get her through events. You can't just unlock her. She's not free. She's free to play, right? She's free to play accessible. You just have to wait to unlock her to 7 stars. And I think I've got her like 5.5, almost 6 stars now. And I haven't touched her. She's still sitting in my account at level 1 with nothing going on, but I'm like chomping at the bit to level her up and gear her up because I think that she's the next big tank in the game. And people who have done it, who have made that leap, right, they're doing very well for themselves. And so, but that's kind of
that she's that tank that could replace who's the first guy you start off on order. I do not like him whatsoever.
Darian, yeah. And he's awful. He's an awful tank, but he does really well in the raid. That's kind of the fun part about it, is he's good. He's actually a good character for the raid, but nobody wants to invest in him. And so we figured out ways to get around that for the raid.
Yeah, I mean, he is just like he's good for the start, but I really would like to replace him once I get Little Betty, because I seen what she can do, and oh my god, like playing against the computer and in some of those campaigns, and then you see her as a tank, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
And it's more frustrating because I don't have her unlocked. Because I seen her do like that AOE, and currently where I'm at in my arena, I haven't come across. I'm mostly coming across like orgs and things like that, and then people with Venomite and that combo. Yep. But not a lot of people running her. But I did once in arena come across someone who had a decent Little Betty, and I just got demolished.
Right. Yeah. Well, and what you were talking about is her shield throw ability, right? It's her taunt. This is her taunt ability, people. This is why I said she's so good. And it deals 260% damage to an enemy, right? Also attacks 2 random enemies, dealing 130% physical damage to them. Dealing damage with this ability removes 1 buff. Just just removes a buff from them. Done. And then she taunts for 2 turns. And
buff removal is so big because right now, currently in the game, there's not a lot of people who take away buffs. So tanks are so hard to get through. It's not like other games I played where you got you got a disrupt. Like in Marvel Strike Force, the big mechanic is disrupt. So you disrupt someone before they can get their taunt. And that's how you can shut down the tank early so that you don't have to deal with that. But in this game, you can get your taunt off pretty quickly, and that distraction could be the difference between you or the other person winning. And so there's not a lot of people in the game who have that mechanic of removing a taunt so that you can get to the people who are the damage dealers and kind of get them out of the way. the other interesting part about this too is in a lot of games that I've played, you want to go naturally, especially in an RPG, you want to go after the healer. This game is weird because you don't want to necessarily attack the healer right away, even though it's a pain and they'll heal the team up. You typically want to go after the people who deal damage more than the people who are going to heal.
Right.
Because the healers, if you get most of the team down, their attack is not that great.
Right.
They're more on the team just to, provide healing or, add certain stats or things like that. I mean,
Well,
you do got your healers who can attack. I don't have any of them, but
well, yeah, and what's kind of an interesting thing, right? The meta shifts. Like, so when you're in the early game, when you're in the early part of the game, you don't have, it feels like you can never get around the tank. You can't do enough damage. One of the big mistakes that I made was ability scrolls. The ability scrolls in this game are a bottleneck in the beginning. They're a real bottleneck. In fact, I would tell anybody, if you want to spend money on the game, buy the ability scrolls when they come up. I mean, they're more important than anything else. If you have a character who doesn't have the abilities leveled to where they should be for the character, you are going to struggle and get frustrated. Your fights are going to be really long. You're just going to get hurt. It's just going to hurt. It's painful, right? It will hurt your soul if you don't have your abilities where they need to be. And I hate telling people that to a certain extent, because you kind of go, well, why can't I just do why can't I just, level the character up and they become more powerful? Well, you can, but in this game, your level, the level of the character that you have is indicative of power. However, and gear is more about their survivability. Their abilities go up in damage so drastically from tier to tier, right? So when you're looking at, and let me pull up a character so I don't misstate something, because I want to make sure I'm giving all the accurate information. But when you say you're looking at, Soleus's basic ability first does 80% of magic damage to an enemy, right? His level 2 ability does 95, but at level 4, it's 140, but at level 5, it's 210. Right?
Those are huge jumps.
They're huge jumps. And so when you're I got stuck at level 4 on a lot of my characters because I didn't realize this. And so I was like level 4ing, most of everybody's abilities. And I was like, woohoo, yay, I've got all these characters. And they were doing great and people are doing damage. And then all of a sudden I get to level 50. And at level 50, I should be having level 5 abilities. And now I can't kill anything. Right? My guy, yep. I had the right gear. I had the right level. But my abilities weren't up, and they're just 30% more damage is huge, right? And then at level 6, 210%. I mean, it's just it's a huge, it's 70% more damage on just the basic ability, and all of them are that way. His healing ability is kind of the same thing. For level 4, it's 370% of his magic damage to all allies for healing. At level 6, it's 550.
I noticed that too, that like this is the first game that I played where abilities have a huge factor in how well the gameplay goes, because I on my previous one before I'm gonna call it the Great Disappointing Reset, I found that I equipped all this gear, I raised the levels, but I was still like reaching like only getting a few 100 power boosts here and there, and I'm like, what's going on? Then I started like fiddling with the abilities, and all of a sudden they just jumped, and my character started like going up, like how they put it in order of who's the highest strength, and I was like, holy cow! Like,
right.
Once, because then I wanted the stun for Traum Guard, so I just focused on saving up all my abilities just to up that one, and I looked at the damage, and just upgrading that one ability alone to like 5, he greatly jumped up in power. I was like, okay, so I was like, you've got to focus on the abilities a little bit more, because the gear tier is important for, like you said, survivability, but also unlocking that, because you got to get everyone to at least gear 4 to unlock that final ability.
Mm-hmm.
And then the abilities then become super important, because those power jumps are so like spaced out. Like I've never seen jumps from like 5 to 6 is a huge difference.
It's big. And I did, and I didn't realize it, and so that was one, I made you asked me earlier what kind of videos that I make, and we talked about tier characters. But one of the videos I made was, hey, don't make my mistakes.
Yeah,
And
I watched that one.
right? And that was a big one. That was a huge mistake for me. And here's the really sad part. The really sad part is I still do it. And I'm still doing it. And that's part of the reason why I've spent so much money in the game to a certain extent, is because I'm making these mistakes, and I'm making them primarily because and the test account is going to help, because I go, ooh, look, this is awesome. I'm going to go over here and try this. And I shouldn't, because it's hurting my account, but I know people want to see it, or they need to see it. And so I do it. I do it because not for me, but for the community, for people who are watching the channel. And, it's like, oh, is this character any good? Right. I spent extra time and money, leveling up Ember, because in ability scrolls that I should have been using on my elves, right? I should have used them on my elves and to get a 7 stars, but instead I leveled them up so I could test Ember. And honestly, I didn't know. We've known that test accounts were coming. We knew that they were going to give them to us. They had told us that they were working on it and that it was coming, but they didn't know when. And so we couldn't say anything. We didn't say anything. And so we just waited, and that's what we were doing, just waiting. And that's it. But it came a day after I unlocked Ember. And spent spend some extra money. That's okay though. I don't mind doing it. And as I said earlier, I've never felt like I've not a single purchase I've made in this game as I felt like I was screwed on. Not a single one. And which
is a great feeling.
Yeah. Which is just huge. And it probably helps. It probably helps that I have a community that I'm surrounded by who they're willing to, they're watching the videos, and they're enjoying the content, and they like what's going on, and that helps a ton. It helps a ton with going, yeah, okay, I don't mind doing it. I don't mind spending the money and doing it. So I just think it's super cool. So
yeah, that's that's one big thing to highlight. No matter what you're talking about or discussing, it's good to have a community that's kind of behind you. When I do my late night talks or I do my reviews, it's good. It's always good to get that feedback and know you're helping out, or people share the same opinion as you about certain things. It's good to have that feedback, especially in what you're doing with with the game and helping newer players out and things like that. It's good to have someone click on there and be like, they were able to avoid those missteps. Because I mean, I've done the same thing too, and then I watched your video, and so this second time around I'm being more frugal with my stuff, and then like now knowing exactly what I'm going for makes me a lot more focused, so that I can get to the people I actually want to get to, and I know exactly where I need to be to get through what I need to get through. So it's been really helpful. So
I'm glad. I am glad, because that there isn't anything worse than, there's nothing worse than finding out that the stuff that you're doing isn't working and it doesn't help. But that's just not been the case. People seem to be really, really happy with it, and that makes me happy. It gives me the energy to get up at 4:30 in the morning and start working, which is what I did today. Is up at 4.
I know, because you got back to my message, like my time was pretty earlier, because I was just going in when I was messaging back and forth to teach, and I was like, Oh, okay. So I like threw something together really quickly. But I'm going to retweet this and everything, and hopefully people will watch this interview. I've had some people asking me to, like I said, cover some aspects of games and things like that. So I figure I wanted to start with a game that I personally enjoy. Um, there's always the big debate that mobile gaming isn't actually gaming. I think Perp said that earlier in the chat, but I consider games an escape. No matter what platform it's on, I think that it's an escape. It's a way to relax, and nothing's better than when you can truly play, like download and play a game for free, but feel like you're accomplishing something. And that's why I wanted to cover this first. Like I love Strike Force. I love that game too. I played both of these. Like I time them because they got this thing called Blitz, and it refreshes every 2 hours. So I'm going for a couple of characters right now.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so I kind of like in between while I'm waiting for the 2 hours, I'll jump over to the Dragon Champions, grind there a little bit. I'm like, okay, my energy's got to reset or whatever because I did the monthly deal with the coins, so I get 200. It like refreshes and gives me 200 coins. I did the deal there, and so
is that every
I'm like,
day? Is that
yeah,
like an everyday thing? Yeah, I buy that for Dragon Champions where I get 200 coins every day. I do like that.
yeah. So I was like, yeah, that's not a bad deal. So I jump back and forth, and that's how I do my time. And I think my next game I like to cover on here is Strike Force, and then a few different console ones. But I've been a little bit behind on the consoles. But I mean, with all the stuff that goes on, and the biggest problem that console systems have been having are these issues with these microtransactions or releasing a game and then you got to get a DLC to play the rest of the game, which I avidly hate. I miss the days of just releasing a game in its entirety, and then if you wanted to add on to it, you could. But so that's the thing that I like about like games like this. Like you have the option to spend the money to get ahead, but you don't necessarily have to. And I think this game is the biggest proponent of that. And I think that's why there's been such a jump, especially to like really big gaming channels that cover this.
Right.
Like, and these are people that like go really hard in Strike Force. So what got me was I was watching on Strike Force, and then I heard about like them throw out this game, and I was like, oh, okay. And I started playing this game, and I was like, wow, like that's amazing. Like anyone could be competitive, and it's good in this modern era to have a game that everyone could come in and have a good time. And I think that's what gaming in essence is supposed to be. It's a way to kick back and relax, and or if you're on the road 24 hours, then it's a good way to, in between your time on the drive, you can just click over, check to see how your teams are doing.
Right. Yeah. And I
do a couple of levels.
Yeah, and I like that. So I like when I watch I'm a big Seahawks fan, and so I watch, Seahawks will play tomorrow night, and I'll probably be playing Dragon Champions, on the commercial breaks and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's nice to be able to have that. Now I'm not a huge fan of microtransactions. I'm not a big fan of microtransactions at all in video games when the game is a free to play, when it's not free to play. Like when, like COD 4, right? I played COD 4, and then they had all these microtransactions, and I did buy a few things because I was like, oh, I really want this, right? And that was fine. But, I spent $100 getting the gold version of the game. I don't think I need to spend, more things for cosmetics. All right. And so with this game, it's free to play. I can spend the money if I want to. I can not spend the money if I want to. And so that's really, really nice. And
the biggest thing is what you said, right? Like you pay in game. Most of it is cosmetic, or The biggest thing that upsets me, and I think why you see a lot of shift from people coming over from Galaxy of Heroes, is the fact that, of transactions ruling a game. I think that is so underhanded, and it's what gives mobile games or any game, you can even go console games, it gives them all a bad rep, because who wants to pay $60, or like you said, you got the gold edition, so $100, right? You should be able to get everything that you need. And
Well,
then if you want to, you can spend the money. And a lot of games don't do that these days.
well, and that's what I love. So I played Jedi Fallen Order, right? And
Mm-hmm.
as much as I hate EA right now, and I stopped playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and and I'm just so upset with their entire thing. I pre-ordered Jedi Fallen Order. I played it. There's no microtransactions. I paid one price for the game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game immensely. Seemed like a good story. Combat was great. And I had a great time. I had a great time with the game.
I've like browsed my community and the videos that come up from people that I know, and everyone's raved. It's probably going to be the next game that I pick up, because now I'm very curious about it. But I've heard the same thing, like nothing but good reviews for it. So it's I think that game companies need to take notes on these things, because I don't know when this craze started happening, but it's gotten to the point where like you can't buy anything because it always feels like half completed. Like one of my favorite games for Xbox through one that I have is Injustice, but I had to wait for that to release like a gold edition, because it's like DLC for all these cool characters that I want. But I'm like, why am I gonna pay a separate $10, $20 just so that I can get this character, where I could just wait for it all to come out? And they did. They released a gold edition of Injustice 2, so now I'm just gonna buy that and unlock all the hidden characters and play them without without having to pay the extra 10 or $20 just to play them the week they came out. It's really ridiculous.
They're trying to monetize. I have a hard time faulting people trying to make money. I get that. I've often heard this idea that, well, it should cost, game prices should have gone up by now. And maybe that's true. I don't know. It feels like I've been playing $60 per game for several generations now.
Yep.
And so when I hear that argument, I go, actually it's kind of a decent one. Like everything else has gone up in price, but I'm still paying $60 for a game for the most part. So gaming industries, are they really going, like I do most of my console gaming's on Xbox. And we have two Xboxes in the home. My son plays on one and I play on the other, and we game share, which is completely legal. Right. Because I have my Xbox home there and I have things on my account, and he can play the games over there and I can play games here. That it was set up and designed to do that. And so it saves us money, but we do everything digitally. It means that we have to be connected to the internet all the time to be able to use these services, which I know is kind of bothersome to a certain extent, simply because do we ever really own the game? I don't kind of know, because it's all digital, right? The internet goes down, I can't play games anymore.
Yep.
If they just decided to, if the Xbox decided they weren't going to honor the game purchases or whatever, I mean, I don't physically own the copy of the disc anymore, so I guess it's not really my product. And I kind of get that. And so it's, it's kind of what it is. But I've kind of been okay with it. I've kind of just been okay with it because it saves me time and it saves me money. And for me, anything that saves me time and money I'm generally good with. But not always. I mean, obviously there's exceptions, right? But it's one of those kind of things where I'm doing this because I think it's the best way to go. And it's actually helped out my family a good bit because we play games. At least my son and I do. My wife Pokemon Goes. She loves that game. I tease all the time that Pokemon Go saved my marriage. Because I've been a gamer my whole life and my wife's not really a gamer, even though she's played WoW with me and that sort of stuff for a while. But she loves Pokemon Go. And in fact, I think that she should have been home by now, but she's probably out Pokemoning. And that's great. I think gaming is a great way to spend your time. Certainly better than drinking alcohol. I mean, you can drink alcohol. I don't have a problem with that, but it's certainly better than going to the bar and getting DUIs. I mean, I up teen bajillion clients who get DUIs a day. Right. And so, I mean, if you're at home drinking and playing video games, you're not getting DUIs. I mean, and so, it's kind of one of those things where, it's kind of off topic to a certain extent, but we get a lot of crap as gamers for wasting our time, and I'm not wasting my time. I feel like I'm relaxing and having a good time and enjoying myself and contributing to a community with Dragon Champions and YouTube and to your community, hopefully, if they decide to play the game or if they want to play other games. I think it's a good way to spend your time personally. But that's just one man's opinion.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with that. There's so many other different things that people could do that would, make their lives irreparably change because of one foolish mistake, right? But, instead you're at home chilling. I mean, I got a daughter myself, so, I put on the game for her. I went back to Destiny 2, and somehow my daughter got more stuff than I did. I don't know how that happens, but kids, they figure stuff out a lot quicker.
But, I understand.
So it's like, it's good to, and I've been doing games since I was a kid myself. Like, I was the kid who, like, everyone would go out and do something. I wanted to, like, play Resident Evil. So, I mean, that was kind of where I was at. And, it's good. It's good. I'm into trying to link communities, and it's good to get a different perspective from a different community. And, I've wanted to kind of link every genre that I do and every community that I'm a part of, because here on my channel, I get very odd things that come out of the blue. Like, someone likes something would be like, wow, you should cover that more. And it doesn't dawn on me. And then I'm like, yeah, I like this. So it's also a good way to interact with people and get them some different kind of things. Because one thing that I found is you always got to vary it up and have different things on your channel and keep people interested. And, I found it just like amazing how interconnected your guys' community are and how many people like interact. And I thought that was pretty cool because, I love gaming. I love mobile gaming. I love all of that stuff. I love watching movies and things like that and doing my reviews on those. And, I have my late night talks where we kind of do a satirical thing, and I like doing that. But I like having these serious interviews and getting a hold of you content creators that are out there that are doing great content. And that'd be great if just one person watches this and goes, hey, I play that. Let me go check this out. Because,
right,
that's what it's about. Linking different people with different people, or at least that's what YouTube's supposed to be about. So,
right. Well, I remember I was listening to I had told you when we talked, I had no idea who you were until you sent out. I don't tend to watch movie reviews, and I don't tend to watch, trailer reviews or in that sort of stuff personally, because I don't like things spoiled. And that's just me. However, right, your talks with these other people, your interviews and that sort of stuff, I listened to 2 of them today, and you said that the gal who got you going, she told you to pay it forward.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
Yeah, that's what you do. And I that's awesome. That's exactly the way it should be. I remember when I was in law school, I went to a private law school. I'm still paying for it, by the way. So just I want people to understand. I know I said I dropped a lot of money on a mobile game, and people are gonna be like, "This guy's rich." I'm not. I'm not independently wealthy. I don't make a lot of money. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination. But I, you know, I went to a private law school, and one of the things that we did at this law school was we cared for each other and we looked out for each other, which is very different than most law schools. In law school, it's very competitive. It's, not everybody can get an A. There's a harsh curve. There's only one test, right? And if everybody studies together, right? Then the curve is going to suck and that's going to hurt us. But we did it anyway. And it was only about 60 people in the school that I went to. We graduated with only 24 people in our class. With the 24 of us that graduated, 91% of us passed the bar the first time around, but we all studied together. We all studied together before. We cared about each other and we all lifted each other up. Now we've been all in practice. We know we still talk, right? I mean, I know it sounds like I'm full of it, but I'm just not. I mean, this is honestly how it is. But I live in an area in Boise, Idaho that is they're very community based and people like each other and people are nice here. And that was the kind of fostered at the law school I went to. And I try to bring that to YouTube. And when I listened to your video and this gal said, pay it forward. And you were like, that's why I do. And this is why I reach out to other people. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly the mindset. That's the right mindset to have. And I really appreciate you having that mindset and doing it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I just like doing it. And honestly, I like doing this part of it on my channel. I like doing the one-on-one interviews and getting to know and talk with different channels. And, everyone's got a very interesting story and interesting ways that they got started. But at the end of the day, we're all people. So, I mean, we're all just normal people who go on and talk about our different things. But the big thing is when you get tons of people who agree on the same things but have different perspective, I think that makes for an interesting conversation. And that's a lot of what's missing today is that no one wants to talk. No one wants to have interesting conversation. Kind of what inspired me to do this. So it was great for me being able to do this and get some even more ideas that I'm going to probably implement as soon as I get done. But yeah, I'm about to wind things down, bring it kind of to a close so that I can get ready for my next set of work. Got to go in the theater. God help us. Frozen 2 is like the apocalypse until Star Wars comes out. So,
hey, do you get to watch it over and over and over again? I mean, Star Wars. I'm excited for it. I'm super excited for it. But I love Star Wars. I love all the movies. My wife even convinced me to start liking, Attack of the Clones, which I hated that movie for a long, long time. I absolutely hated it. This is what she told me before you let me go, because I know you're a Star Wars guy. She said, if you watch Anakin, if you watch Christian, what is his name? Hayden Christensen or something. Yeah, whatever his name is. I don't know. She says, if you watch him portray that as a petulant little boy, if you watch him portray Anakin as a petulant little boy, the character makes sense. And I went, holy what the F. And ever since, I've watched the movie that way. And my wife's younger than me, and her first Star Wars movie was The Phantom Menace, not the original trilogy. And so that was kind of, she watched the prequels and then the original trilogy. And so I was like, oh, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
So try it next time you watch it.
Always mine. So out of those three.
Yeah. Well, Revenge of the Sith is kind of the same thing, but once you take that mindset and take it into Revenge of the Sith, it tracks. And so I'm with you. I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan of the original, the prequel movies at all. But that's a discussion for a whole nother day. If you ever want to talk to me about Star Wars, I mean, I love Star Wars. I probably can't talk intelligently about it the way you can, but I do love the genre, and I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, actually, we're gonna be doing. Well, I'll save that for my plug at the end. But yeah, we talk about the new show, The Mandalorian. So,
Right.
which
Well, I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I'm behind the times. So.
yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. That third one, I so far has had my highest rating on my channel because I haven't given it
What I hear.
any movie a 10 except for Joker. Joker was my only movie that I put in a 10, but other than that, it's been pretty sparingly. But that third episode got a 10 by me, and most people have done a 9 or an 8, so it's probably one of the best in this show so far. So, but it's been a pretty solid show overall. So it's good to be able to talk about it again. I know after Last Jedi there was a huge split, but that's probably is a conversation for another day. but but anyways, before we go ahead, tell everyone where they can find you, and you had a couple of new videos that came out.
I have, and so I've got a couple of new things. So I talked this morning about having the new account. I do have the new test account. I have some video. Just today, I did one of the formats that I'm kind of hoping to be able to do is gather up all the questions that are asked on my comments and my videos, and then do like a question and answer sort of session in a video at the end of each week. That's something that I tried to do a little bit this morning. I only had a couple questions. And so the video is rather, I try to keep them short. I'm a little long-winded, as everybody noticed. So I try to keep them short and answer those questions. It's kind of something I'm starting to do. The other thing is I'm doing these in-depth character reviews, diving deep into the characters, how they are, how good they are, where they rank on my tier list. I've had people ask me to, make a chart or a graph, and I want to be able to do stuff like that, but I'm not sure I have the time to be able to actually, make a graphic design and move all the characters around. I don't know how to do that. And B, I will learn, but I just don't think I have the time to do it at the moment. And then I plan on doing teams, like faction breakdowns, this faction as opposed to this faction, and these teams versus these teams and how well they do. So those are all things that I have coming up. One other thing I have coming up. There's another, he's a guy in my guild, Nerd This. He's another YouTuber. He's Carnifax in my guild, and him and I are going to be doing a collaboration video on some of the intricacies of the game and the math. He's just a math wizard and an Excel wizard, so he knows a lot about how the game functions mathematically, and we're going to break that stuff down. And so that's going to be kind of more of a nerd video, as he likes to call it, because his channel's called Nerd This, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And so I'm hoping that'll come out here once we get our schedules lined up. But I'm here on YouTube. I think you've been linking my channel in your chat, and I really do appreciate that. I also stream video games on Twitch. I haven't been doing a lot of that lately, so I do have a Twitch channel as well. twitch.tv/dragonlawgaming. I'm on Twitter at dragonlawgaming. And then on YouTube, I have a Discord. They're in my links and all my descriptions. I don't really do much with the Discord channel, but I'm located in other Discord channels, such as the Dragon Champions Discord that you can get right on from the game. I'm in there. I post stuff in there that you can watch. And then there's some guild recruitment pages. They're also on Discord, where I have my own content creator section on those as well, that you can find me there. And then you can DM me anytime, send me an email. You can even email me at dragonlawgaming@gmail.com. And so I'm more than happy to, reach out that way as well. I'm open and accessible, and I spend 4 hours in the car every day. So Obviously
Yeah,
I
I
can't
know that
text and
feeling.
drive. I can't text and drive, but I've talked to people on Discord while driving and through the speakers of my car. So I'm more than happy to talk at any time with anyone about this game or really anything else. Obviously, I can't give you legal advice. It's that sort of thing. I've always wanted to kind of have a legal portion of my channel. I know this, we're trying to get towards the end, but my I love dragons. I love the game Dragon Age. That's where the dragon actually comes from. Dragon Age,
Oh,
the Dragon Age
yeah,
origin
that's a
games
great
and that
game.
sort of stuff. That's where it actually comes from, is the dragon portion of that from those games. And then the law is just because I'm a lawyer and I love the law. And then gaming's gaming, right? I mean, so, but that's kind of where that comes from. And I've been called Dragon because it used to just be Dragon Age in every game that I played. I was able to get that Dragon Age, and this time I wasn't able to do that, and it's probably copyrighted anyway. So, so I just went with the law, and so that's about me. And I really do appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk to your community and chat with you.
Oh yeah, this has been really fun. I like doing these side interviews because my late night show, if you check that out, that's a total inverse of what I do here. It's very wacky and I'm kind of all over the place. And I have a fun time, and uh, there's a lot of crazy stuff said. I think the chat threw out a couple of jokes, I believe, from Friday when we had our when we had our late night. There was some crazy things said, but that's kind of like my joking around. But I like to sit down and do serious interview and pick the minds of people in the fields, and I really appreciated being able to get your breakdown and and sort of get more with this community, because I think that it's awesome. I think it's a great community. It's a great game, and really love the stuff that you're doing. By the way, the person who's been dropping the links is Tommy. He's a great mod. So I appreciate you, Tommy, for dropping those links down and, being on that. So I'm going to wrap things up. You guys have been on General Zod's Fandom Zone. Thank you, everybody. I think we were up to 9 or 10 people. So I appreciate it. A little bit different from what I normally do, but I like to branch out and try new and exciting things. And I appreciate you donating your time. I am going to, hopefully this Sunday, I'm still working out the schedules, but I'll have Josiah Rises on here from Geeks and Gamers. So we're going to talk a little bit and interview him on his channel and all that. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've got some reviews coming. I've finally finished Gravity Falls Season 2, so I'll be doing that. I'm editing that video right now, and I'll probably have it up tonight. And I'm also going to do my first Zod picks, which is Justified. I'm not going to do this in seasons because there's like 6 of them. So I'm just going to do a series overview because it'd take me way too long to break down each and every season and why it's good. I'm just going to pick out particular seasons, a couple of episodes, and give my reasons why you should watch this show. So everybody definitely be on the lookout for those videos. I can't wait to drop that. Thank you for all of the new people. Mr. Danger, thank you for coming to the channel. And, as always, remember, there's only one rule here in the Fandom Zone: kneel before General Zod.